So this is our Ask Me Anything segment with someone who's becoming a friend. I'd like to say, Fred, you're becoming a friend, but truly more than a friend, he is an expert, and he is an expert on how to close a deal a week. And you've done that for what, like almost your entire 30-year career at this point, close the deal a week?
Yeah, it's a 31-year average. I mean, I've done, more and less depending on the year and the situation, but it's actually more than a deal a week. It's just a catchy phrase.
It is a catchy phrase. I love it. All right. So we've got questions submitted by people in advance, right? We posted in some of our groups. So, and a lot of people are watching this recording later, but Ashton, it's your live. So, I mean, if you get any questions, this is really truly Ask Me Anything. Like there's nothing off the table. I've got a list of things, but Ashton, do you have any questions you want to start off asking Fred, or should I fire a few away first?
Absolutely. I have a few questions.
Go for it.
Oh, Fred, good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Question here is, where are the majority of your listings coming from? Sphere of influence, advertising, etc. And that would get us to the second question, which is important for me, is I'm guessing it's going to be your SOI. So if that's the case, how do you find your SOI?
My answer is going to be emotionally ungratifying. Pretty much none of the above. 82% of my listings are new. They're not past client. Oh. And I don't do any SOI at all. And so it comes from me calling people. And there are certain protocols I use. I'll call past clients. I'll call sphere of influence. I'll call other agents. I'll call doctors, attorneys, architects, builders. I have a thing called the wheel production, and I spin it like the wheel of fortune. And wherever it lands, I call 5 people in that group. I do that 3 times a day to keep my numbers up. It's not a numbers game. That's one of the misconceptions, I think, of sales production. And certainly one of the things that beats agents up so badly is they learn to hate the business. If it's a numbers game, there's no skill in that. He or she who can dial the most wins, kind of a thing. And I remember back when I got into coaching, the big thing was contact to closing ratio. And it was all about numbers. And it was difficult to get your numbers high enough to where every now and then a deal would happen. And that's when I really started looking at, well, wait a minute, what are the skills involved here? And how do you reduce the number of contacts you have to make before you meet a viable client? And so the point is, I'm not calling the most people, but I am calling 25 to 35 people a day normally. So that's my range. Now, to some agents, that's like, it's a lot. But Jesse, you must know there are agents that call hundreds. They're robo dialing. It's a numbers game, and it's not. It's a skills game. So, but you do have to have your at bats, meaning you have to come up to bat before you can get a hit, and you have to talk to somebody before you can identify a client. So that is job one for me, talking to people. So no SOI. I don't rely on past client referral. I don't have a geographic farm. My farm is more like a ranch. It's bigger, and my farm or ranch is opportunity. In other words, I'm just looking where the next opportunity might be, and through this set of skills that I use, I'm able to identify business that other agents, they just simply miss it. They just miss it. Happens every day to me. And that's why I do so much business, is because I'm far better at identifying the latent business that's out there, meaning the business that's there under the surface somewhere, than other agents are. That's my superpower, if you will.
Can I ask you to share some of the script with us, like you called just listed or just sold?
Yeah, once again, might be an unexpected response here. I don't really use scripts and dialogues. I know, because they're problematic. Let's face it. If you're learning a script, you're now trying to bend an improvisational situation to fit that script. Sure. And it's backwards. You have to learn a skill that is improvisational. You have to be able to talk to anybody in any situation in a way that works, which is why I created the ask to listen technique, why I created vending opportunity, triangulation, impact questions, power statements. These are things that you can do improvisationally to fit the situation. And it's really not a very well-known skill, but for me, it is the high skill in the business.
I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna jump into the questions because now I'm curious, and I've heard you talk before, but I never realized you had a physical, actual wheel. Because I have a question that was submitted by a woman named Angie that I want to ask you in a second, but this will tie in. So you literally have a physical wheel that you are spinning with different things on it?
I do. We digitized that. It's now in my program, the production model, which agents, purchase a lifetime license to, and they'd be using the wheel. There's a little app they can use. But the point is, I take the choice out of the agent's hand because that's where they stumble. It's one of the most common questions as a coach I'm asked is, who should I call? And there are so many. The problem isn't scarcity. It's too many people. So the wheel just breaks it into categories, and I teach people how to create their own wheel. They can kind of use mine, or they can create their own, and you spin it, and then wherever it goes, you ask, you call 3 to 5 people in that category. You actually call those people. And this is where agents fall down. They don't make the calls. They're going to, or the ones who do turn it into a robo dial thing, and there's no skill.
You kind of answered this a little bit, but I'm going to go a little deeper, which is Angie's question was, she was asking was, how do you stay motivated in an unsure market?
Well, because I understand the true nature of opportunity. It's another one of my superpowers, if you will. I'm having fun with that word today, but it gives me an advantage over pretty much everybody else. I mean, I don't have any competition because everybody's doing it what I'll call old school way or the new modern way. Old school, just typical real estate, and then the digital way, communicating with people with all these incredible, methods, whether it's texting or social media or email or videos or online or whatever, all these incredible forms of communication, not to mention classic advertising, et cetera, et cetera. I don't do any of that. Zero. I'm a $0 marketing and advertising guy. What I do is I talk with people each day in discovery mode. And when I talk with someone, I'm able to identify how change is happening in their lives. And is that change having an impact on their real estate wants and needs? If it does, I call that an actionable direction, and I investigate and go further. If it's not there, that's fine too, because I know there's always more. And most agents don't know that. You see, what we're taught with opportunity culturally, and I wrote a book about this in 2023. I want you guys to be the first to know, we're going to be releasing an incredible online program called The Gift of Opportunity. But it teaches people how to understand the phenomena of opportunity mechanically, and then how to tune into it mentally more effectively, and therefore how to tap into it more often. And that's what I do. I spot opportunity that other agents miss. It's there, but they didn't know it was there. And a lot of times the client didn't even know it was there. And so this is a very powerful thing, but it's based on the understanding that there's always more opportunity. So if I miss someone, that's okay. There's more. But most agents, if they miss someone, there's no more. Now they start trying to turn a no into a maybe, one of the biggest mistakes in the business. And they start staying in touch, this whole dripping on people until someday they contact you because you've been in touch with them. Fine. I just don't want to wait. I want to do another deal this week. I want to do several this month. I don't want to, down the road, somebody might call me. And then when agents do that successfully, and it can work, then they drop the ball in terms of how to talk to them. So they still miss the opportunity. It's a loony system. And this is why 86-87% of all licensees have left the business within the first 4 to 5 years. That's the fact. That's why a little over 8% of all licensees make over 90% of all the commissions. That's a fact. Most agents are stuck on the outside looking in.
It's a very different approach than what a lot of trainers and coaches talk about. I love it. Liliana, I see you are here now. And Ashton, if you have any other questions, by the way, I appreciate you guys who are on here live. If you have, got a few more minutes, at least ask Fred anything. right? I got my list of questions that were pre-submitted, but feel free to jump in. Otherwise, I'm going to keep firing questions at him. All right. Yeah, got another one, Ashton?
One quick question. What's happened if you cannot hit your targets? Let's say there's nothing you can list for this week. Are you going to catch up with that, or you just relax and continue?
I just continue. Just continue. Every day is a new day. And my business plan is simple. I make my career just this week. It's all about this week with me. Agents get hijacked with their business plan, with their annual numbers, with their quarterly numbers. You got to make today pay. That's the bottom line. If you can't do that, you don't have the basic skills that you really ought to have as an agent, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
Is that a tagline from Fred, by the way? Make today pay?
That's the name of my podcast. Yes.
I wanted to drop that in there for you. I figured that was it. Well done.
Available everywhere.
Which you've been running that podcast, by the way, for, you told me what, 10 years? I mean, you've been running a podcast for a very long time.
I've been doing, we've changed the theme. We've changed the names on occasion, done a few different things, but June 6th, I think it is my 18th year anniversary. I was podcasting before it was a word.
That's so cool. I love it. Yeah. I mean, he's been doing it long enough, guys. He used to write it on Post-its and draw pictures for people and mail them. No, that's actually audio recording. All right. Question for you. What is your, and this is, I don't know how deep you can get into this, but Sarah asked, what does your typical day look like? Like, you've answered some of this. You're obviously focused on that now, but do you have a structure? What does your typical day look like?
I do have a structure, and it's really important to have a structure as opposed to a schedule, people. You need to understand the difference. Schedules were meant to be broken. That's what happens. Structure will bend, but it won't break. It's your ethos in the business. My ethos is that I talk to people. And when I talk to them, I do so in discovery mode, knowing that there's always opportunity. So if it's not right there, that's okay. There'll be more. Keep talking to people in discovery mode. And so the way my day is set up, assuming I have a fluid day where I go through the whole thing, because I often get waylaid, not hijacked, waylaid. In other words, an actionable direction comes up and I go do that piece of business. So that does happen to me. But I shoot to talk to 10 people by 10 a.m. in the morning. Now, people, how many agents do you think there are in North America that have talked to 10 people by 10 a.m. in the morning?
It's not that many.
Not that many. It gives me an incredible jump on the day. Incredible jump. Oftentimes I have a new actionable direction just within my 10 by 10 a.m. So, and I'm feeling good about it at that point. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting going. It's like when I do my exercise at 5 a.m, I'm done by 6. I love that. I love, being out ahead of it. So I do 10 by 10 a.m. Then I spin the wheel 3 times. And of those 3 categories, I will call 5 people in each of those categories. So like I said, it could be attorneys, it could be title officers, it could be sphere of influence. I've got 40, 50 categories in my wheel. So it just depends on, where it ends up. So then I call 5 people in each of those. So that's another 15. Then I like to finish the day with 5 at 5 p.m. Now, sometimes it's 6 at 6 p.m., knock yourself out, 7 at 7 p.m. I don't call people after 8. It has happened, but normally I don't. And I'm not working up till 8 normally, but I often am working 6 and after. Sometimes it happens. But the point is, that's another 5. And then I do this thing called snap calls. So you can program your phone to do this if you want, but I like to do it on the quarter hour. So every hour on the quarter, it bings me snap call. And that means I got to call somebody. And so I do that about 6 times during the day. So that adds another 5 or 6. And then I do this other thing called flip calls. And that's when somebody calls me, I know how to flip it into a discussion of discovery. And so I'm getting lots of at-bats, but it's, throughout my day. I'm not dialing all day long, but I will get in, like I said, 25 to 35 dials. Hopefully I'll have, 15 to 20 some actual, what I call talk tos. A talk to is when you actually talk to someone. You don't leave a voicemail. There's not a text, not an email. They didn't just hang up. They didn't scream and run away. Okay. You actually talk to them because it's not all on the phone. I will do head knocking. That's one of my terms for going out and talking to people on an improvisational basis. That's my favorite form of what I call prospecting, because there's a difference. Most agents do prospecting and they don't really make that much money. I do prospecting. That's specting that gets you paid. Right. I want to make money. That's why I'm in the business. Okay. So I go out and I talk with people. So the point is, I will get 10 to 15 what we call interactions a day. That's the key stat. I learned a long time ago that contact to sale ratio is a bad way to measure. The better way is talk to interaction ratio. An interaction is a discussion of discovery. So I'm talking to someone and I get into discovery mode, bingo, that's an interaction. And I'm trying to get up to about 10 or 12 of those a day. And if I do that, I'm always beyond my goals, always hitting my numbers. Doesn't matter what the market is, doesn't matter what other people are doing, does not matter, people. Doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter when you do it. It doesn't matter who you do it with. It matters how do you do it and how do you do it.
I love your answers. And I love your terms too, by the way. I love head knocking and prospecting. All right. Ashton, Glenn, Liliana, if you got a question, we got about 5 minutes. Ashton, you got a question?
Yeah, first of all, I just downloaded Make Today Pay. So thank you for that. The question here is, do you do follow-up?
I don't. I do find out. I don't practice lead follow-up. I practice lead find out. So this idea of, following up with people, guy, get back with my leads and all that, drives me crazy. If I call somebody, I call it a re-prospect. I like to re-prospect, not just follow up. In other words, I'm trying to find out, again, I said this earlier, how change in a person's life, which is undoubtedly happening, and the fact that they have sought shelter, they live somewhere, right? The fact that they live somewhere and they're changing, I'm trying to find out, are their real estate wants and needs subject to change at this time? And so I'm always starting fresh, although on a Tuesday, I might call someone back on a Wednesday in what I call a two-step, because we decided we would talk the next day. So I'll pick it up from there. I'm not saying there isn't such a thing as follow-up, but I don't like the phenomena of trying to set up a system for lead follow-up. I want to call people and I want to find out what's possible.
Okay.
Love it.
You call agents, 5 agents. What do you tell them?
I don't. They tell me. This is the whole technique in a nutshell, really. When you learn this pattern of speech that I use, you're not the one giving information. You're the one getting it. That's where the money is. Think of the way that the real estate industry as a culture is set up. Be the expert, give advice. Marketing, advertising, branding, systems, social media, past client referral, geographic farming, being of service. This is all information going from us to the public, which has its place. I don't do any of it, but it has its place. I get it. I would rather have information coming to me. So when I'm talking to an agent, I'm saying, hey, Bill, it's Fred over at Capitus. How you doing? I'm doing good, Fred. How you doing? Super, super. Hey, gosh, what's the hottest property on the market today? And they'll go, well, I don't really know of anything at the moment, right? And so then I'll say, well, are you working very many listings? And then, or sometimes they'll get, hey, wait a minute, why is this guy calling? Because their ego is going to get a little brushed, maybe, because I asked that question, how they're doing with listings, right? And most agents, they don't really have many listings. I mean, it's just the truth. You run into some, and that's fine too. Some that have, teams, big business. That's fine too. I'm just saying when I'm talking to them, I'm trying to find out what's going on with them, because I often identify an actionable direction by talking with them. I called an agent the other day in Los Angeles who's taken my coaching in the past. And this guy was talking about a property that he knew of out in my area. And so I checked out that property, and we may be putting an offer in on that tomorrow afternoon. I never would have known about that had I not called the agent. And so it's one of my great sources of opportunity is talking with agents.
I love it. I'm grateful you're here. I'm grateful we can ask you questions. We're at the top of the hour. So if you guys have more questions for Fred, first of all, thank you for being here, Fred. I do want to mention, because we'll drop it into the show notes and anywhere this recording is, but for people who are here live, where do they find out more about the production method?
Well, the production model can be looked at closer by going to fredwilsonpodcast.com, because I have a free report there, and it's a way for agents to kind of start getting involved. If they want to get right into the program, it's simply you just go to fredwilsoncoaching.com or theproductionmodel.com and follow the tabs and sign up. It's a way to make money. The whole idea, and it's more of an idea, more than an idea, it is a way of approaching the business. But you wake up in the morning, you don't necessarily have a new client or a new transaction. By the end of the day, you have a high probability of having a new client or a new direction. And that's the difference. And it's very different from all other systems that are future models. This is a now model.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Ashton, fantastic questions. Fred.
Yes.
Fred Wilson, dude, you're amazing. Truly. Love your energy. Love your take on this. Thank you. Thank you for being here, everybody. And, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Produced
by the Agent Collective Media Network.